time, we marvel at the behind-the-scenes achievements of 5 of Tinseltown's biggest hitters. This comic actor has the dubious honour of being the only actor to be nominated by the Golden Raspberry Awards for Worst Actor for 5 films in 1 year. Ben Stiller has carved an on-screen career out of playing screwballs and nerds, not to mention the odd bimbo, but his clueless dude image couldn't be further from the truth.
Ben, he's really precise. You know, he makes it look really easy, but he's a brilliant actor. I think, years from now, people are going to look back and see he was sort of like the Charlie Chaplin of his era.
And when the camera stops rolling, a smart director is ready to listen to what Ben has to say.
He's an expert, he really is. I mean, when he has comments or notes or thoughts, it's like you listen to him because he knows his stuff, And a lot of times when we're making a movie, we're, a little reluctant to listen to everything said because, we have to keep moving and all. But when Ben pulls you aside and has an idea, we listen.
But then he does come from great stock. His parents, Jerry Stiller and Ann Meara, were both popular comedians on US television, who frequently took the young Ben with them to work. His interest in acting and sketch comedy went hand in hand with his fascination for filmmaking, and during his stint on the classic TV comedy series Saturday Night Live, he got to air a few of his short films. He then went on to host his own show on the Fox network in 1992, which won him an Emmy Award for Outstanding Individual Achievement in Writing in a Variety or Music Program. From there, he could have gone anywhere, and he did. As well as starring in If Lucy Fell and Flirting with Disaster, he starred in and directed Reality Bites. By 1996, he'd gained enough credibility to be trusted with a $47 million budget as director of the Jim Carrey vehicle, The Cable Guy. His acting career went nuclear after starring opposite Cameron Diaz in 1998's There's Something About Mary. And with the release of Zoolander in 2001, he not only sealed his status as an A-list actor and director, but also confirmed himself as the leader of the emerging frat pack. This ragbag bunch of collaborating funny men includes Jack Black, Owen Wilson, Will Ferrell and Vince Vaughn, who finally got a starring role in the 2004 film DodgeBall, A True Underdog Story.
I was a fan of Ben's ever since the TV show that he did, the Ben Stiller show, and always wanted to work with him. Although I had a small cameo in Zoolander and Starsky and Hutch, played the heavy, but this was really the first time that we were able to really have a movie where we both were kind of significant parts in it. So it's a lot of fun to do scenes with him. And Ben's a guy that not only is a talented actor, but he's also a developer of material.
Upping the ante once again, Ben signed on as the film's producer.
Well, I mean, producing is really just about trying to make movies that you want to see, and movies that are, the choices are limited when you're an actor because you have to wait for somebody to ask you what to do. If you're producing your own films, you have more of a chance to do different kinds of projects. So, it's something I wanted to do for a long time. We've had a production company for like 7 years, so it takes a while, but now it's starting to get off the ground, which is nice.
As if all that wasn't enough, he took on the challenge of balancing his home and professional life by working with his wife, Christine Taylor.
We're lucky. It's really nice to work with somebody you know and love so well. You can kind of have a shorthand, just give each other a little nudge or a wink, and not have to go through that whole getting to know you process.
3 years down the track on the set of Heartbreak Kid, Ben explained that process was still very much ongoing.
Sure. I mean, we've been married for 7 years now, and I think it's like any relationship. It progresses and you learn new things. That's the fun of it, though.
This revolutionary powerhouse was once dubbed Hanoi Jane as a result of her outspoken opposition to the Vietnam War. In 1970, Jane Fonda and fellow actor Donald Sutherland embarked on an anti-war roadshow visiting military towns along the west coast of America. Her activism and 1972 visit to North Vietnam to investigate claims that the US government was systematically bombing the Red River Dike system led to an FBI investigation. Although the Nixon administration decided not to press a legal case against her, she has continued to cop flack for what many flag-waving Americans still perceive as unpatriotic behavior. Her feminist activist stance provided great contrast to the pin-up status she'd acquired during her marriage to Roger Vadim. The French director helped turn her into a modern-day Venus through films like La Ronde and the 1968 erotic science fiction spoof Barbarella. Despite divorcing in 1973, Jane remained close to Roger, with whom she'd shared a daughter. When he died in 2000, Jane attended his funeral along with fellow former loves Brigitte Bardot and Catherine Deneuve. She won her first Oscar playing a prostitute in 1971. 7 years later, she won another for her pet project Coming Home, the story of an injured Vietnam War veteran's attempts to re-enter civilian life. She starred in and produced the 1980 comedy 9 to 5 that also featured Dolly Parton and Lily Tomlin. The film was still resonating with audiences 25 years later.
It makes me real happy that it's had this kind of life. You know, it doesn't surprise me, but I talk to a lot of young people. I work with young people in Georgia where I live, and they love the movie. You know, they learn to look at it because of their parents, and it's a favorite movie of a lot of young people. So that makes me feel good that it's held up like that.
Next, she revolutionized the fledgling home video industry, selling 17 million copies of the Jane Fonda workout in the early 80s. In 1991, she married cable television tycoon Ted Turner and decided to retire from the movie business, vowing never to act in films again, devoting herself to feminist causes and a center for adolescent reproductive health. However, after divorcing Ted and becoming a Christian, she blew back into Hollywood, making her comeback as J-Lo's mother-in-law-to-be in Monster-in-Law. Breaking her 15-year drought earned her a Career Achievement Award from the National Board of Review in 2005, inspiring her to revise her list of ambitions.
Achieve peace. I'd like to help achieve peace and a little bit of equity in the world, and help raise my grandchildren to be the best people they can. And I'd like to make a few more kick-ass movies.
Then she took on the unenviable task of trying to keep Lindsay Lohan in line as her grandmother in Georgia Rule.
It was never as hard in my time as it is for her. I think, number one, it's important for a young celebrity like that to know that you got to have more in your life than celebrity, because celebrity doesn't last, and then you'll be left with nothing. And the other thing is, it's not a dress rehearsal. You know, this is life, and you know, if you blow it, you may not get another chance.
She found the film about the effects of sexual abuse deeply touching.
I felt some of the same things that I felt while I was, makes me emotional, when I was doing On Golden Pond. You know, it's about healing and forgiveness where there's been dysfunction, and don't we all know about dysfunction? So it's quite universal.
Jane's own developmental dysfunction included finding out that her mother had committed suicide and growing up in the shadow of her cold and dispassionate famous father, Henry. In her 2005 autobiography, she admitted to suffering from bulimia and low self-esteem. Now over 70, she continues to campaign passionately against injustice. As well as teaming up with Salma Hayek on a trip to Mexico to help end violence against women, she flew to Bombay to visit women living in the city's largest slum. In 2006, she spoke at the University of Notre Dame on the feminization of poverty. But her increasing devotion to feminist causes hasn't seen her throw away the makeup bag. She's currently lending her face to a range of age-defying products by cosmetics giant L'Oreal. This Oscar-winning director got his first big break as a lisping child actor in the 1962 film The Music Man. He went on to star as the squeaky clean Richie Cunningham in the 70s sitcom Happy Days, until he left the series to pursue directing. It wasn't an easy transition to make. Ron remembers getting lots of patronizing advice, like, hey, hang in there, in another 10 or 15 years, I'm sure somebody will give you a chance to direct. In fact, he got his first opportunity in 1977 with the low-budget Grand Theft Auto. But by 1984, he was well on his way with the comedy Smash Splash with star-in-the-making Tom Hanks.
He's an actor with great timing. That's what I thought about him first. Later, as I got to know him, I understood his background and his ambition. I wasn't at all surprised to see him begin to develop this great, this great resume of work.
They collaborated again to great effect a decade later in Apollo 13, which was nominated for several Academy Awards. But in 2001, Ron was gearing up for the big one after winning a Directors Guild Award for A Beautiful Mind.
I have fingers crossed for the Oscars, but I'm enjoying this right now, and this is a major thrill.
The finger-crossing worked, and he followed up with the Best Directing Oscar. Although his star Russell Crowe missed out on converting his Gladiator win into back-to-back Best Actor awards. After a string of mainstream crowd pleasers, he went out on a limb with his 2003 effort The Missing, a Western thriller starring Cate Blanchett and Tommy Lee Jones, which premiered at Cannes.
Yes, it comes out of the Hollywood system, but the tone of it, the themes, the ideas are not what I have dealt with in the past and what a studio generally makes. And so I think it means a lot that the festival has acknowledged a film that is so unusual for Hollywood.
The film, about the daughter of a farmer abducted by an Apache magician, had a profound effect, not only on audiences but on Ron himself.
I did find, as I started previewing it for audiences, that the violence, while not particularly graphic, not compared to a lot of films, was having a very intense effect on the audience. And when I started discussing it with people afterward, I really sensed that they were not only witnessing the violence and relating to someone close, that they cared about seeing it, but they were also acknowledging that an act of violence witnessed is also an act of violence on the witness.
He found himself challenging audiences again with his 2006 adaptation of the controversial Dan Brown novel The Da Vinci Code.
Combination of elements. I think it's a very, very unique kind of concoction. It's mystery, it's thriller, it's history, it's this fascinating theological conspiracy theory, and it all blends in a way that's very, very entertaining.
Unfortunately, however, not everyone agreed. The immediate reaction after the first press screening at Cannes was negative, with trade publication Variety calling the $125 million picture stodgy and grim.
So, of course, it's frustrating that some of the critics, have been harsh with it, and it's disappointing because I'm the type of person that likes to please everyone. I think with this project, that's an impossibility, and I've kind of known that all along.
Despite the lukewarm critical response, The Code, which reunited him with Tom Hanks, went on to become the 5th biggest blockbuster of the year, raking in over $700 million worldwide. Ironically, he faced the opposite problem on the television series Arrested Development, which he narrated and co-produced. Despite winning 6 Emmy Awards and critical acclaim over 53 episodes, the mockumentary about a dysfunctional family failed to get a foothold on the ratings and was canned in 2006.
I thought it was a rare set of themes that you were getting to work with. And, if you're not willing to take some chances, particularly at this stage of my career, then, what are you doing? I know I've been very commercially successful, but I'm not really a guy looking for, safe, middle-of-the-road success. That's not how I judge the projects that I've taken. I never have.
This Hispanic actress-singer was paid $15 million for her role in the 2005 comedy Monster-in-Law. It's a very impressive pay packet, considering the fact that Jennifer Lopez has not made one movie that has grossed more than $100 million at the box office. In fact, her 2003 flop, Geely, co-starring her then-fiancé Ben Affleck, picked up 6 Razzie Awards, including Worst Actress and Worst Couple, and took a miserable $4 million after costing $54 million to make. She scored another Raspberry nomination for her 2004 film Jersey Girl. Despite that, she's said to be the richest Hispanic in Hollywood, with an estimated net worth of $250 million. But then making movies is more of a sideline for Jenny from the Block, whose publicist was once quoted as saying, "J-Lo is not a person, it's a movement." It all started in the Bronx in 1969, where Jennifer Lynn Lopez was born to Puerto Rican parents. After financing her own singing and dancing lessons, she got her break as a backup dancer for New Kids on the Block and Janet Jackson. Since starting her own recording career in 1999, she's sold over 50 million albums worldwide. Her clothing line, J-Lo by Jennifer Lopez, is the most successful label launched by any artist. She followed up with Sweet Face in 2003, and by 2005 she was ready to wow New York Fashion Week with her debut design collection. Jen's mother, Guadalupe, couldn't have been more proud.
You know, really she was. She really was. She was, since she was a little girl, she always liked to, she would cut her clothes and her jeans and her t-shirts and all that kind of stuff. So I knew from early on she was going to be either, a fashion designer or whatever.
Sister Linda also gave the new threads the thumbs up.
Gorgeous, beautiful, feminine, sexy, so yeah, I'm really excited about it.
But it wasn't only her nearest and dearest that were impressed with her step up to haute couture. Designer Roberto Cavalli was positively gushing.
Sarà fantastic.
Oh, fantastic! Jennifer's collection is really gorgeous.
È unica, è speciale.
Hippie chic meets bling bling. Fantastic. She's very talented as a designer. I'm so impressed.
Staying well ahead of the celebrity designer herd, J-Lo was already onto her 3rd perfume by then, following up Glow by J-Lo and Still Jennifer Lopez with Live.
Everything that I've done throughout my life, whether it's a fragrance or music or whatever it is, has to do with something that's going on with me as a person who's evolving every day. Everybody was asking whether it was live or live, and it's live because it's about living. I really do believe in living life to its fullest, expressing yourself in every way you can and in all the ways that you want to. And this fragrance was designed for that, to really laugh in the face of opposition, to pick yourself up when you're down, to really just express yourself in every way. And that's what I think this fragrance embodies.
Other ways she's expressed herself fragrance-wise since then include Live Luxe, Glow After Dark, and Desire. One thing she's kept fairly quiet about over the past few years is her relationship with singer Mark Anthony, who she married at a private ceremony in 2004. Rumours have persisted that after her wildly publicised romance with Ben Affleck, which earned them the epithet Benifer, Mark has insisted that they keep their personal life private. However, even he couldn't keep speculation about Jen's 2007 baby bump out of the gossip pages. It had to be the worst-kept celebrity secret of the year, with Jen gushing about becoming a mother in interviews. And after the power couple had starred together in the film El Cantante, J-Lo couldn't help revealing that Mark has an aversion to her singing around the house. This actor-producer's company, Plan B, produced the 2005 blockbuster Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Brad Pitt also acted as co-producer on A Mighty Heart, which stars girlfriend Angelina Jolie as the wife of murdered journalist Daniel Pearl. Working on the project in close collaboration with Daniel's widow Marianne was a labor of love for the couple. Having settled nicely into his producing duties, he was ready to double up as star on his next project, The Assassination of Jesse James, which focuses on James's relationship with his killer Robert Ford. Brad could identify with the intense media attention attracted by the folk hero bandit and his assassin.
Yeah, I mean, celebrity's a quotient of this film. It's not the main focus, but certainly I understand being hunted and having a bounty on my head in some degree, but fortunately no one's pointing guns at me. And I understand it more in the Robert Ford character, in this this quest for fame, this idea of fame as providing some kind of validity, personal validity, and without really understanding its true nature.
Delving back into America in the 1940s showed him that poetic license in a scandal-hungry media was by no means a new invention.
Yeah, I was surprised. I mean, nothing's changed. It was tabloid journalism then as well. You know, sensationalism and fabrication, and a lot of which he perpetuated himself.
Whether or not Brad can be charged with deliberately fanning the flames, he's found himself perpetually in the paparazzi spotlight ever since his highly publicized romance with Gwyneth Paltrow in the mid-1990s that led to a broken engagement. His marriage to Friends favourite Jennifer Aniston in Malibu in July 2000 was billed as the ultimate fairy tale wedding, and the magnifying glasses were out hunting for cracks on the road to happy ever after. After 4 years, a mighty jackhammer arrived in the shape of Angelina Jolie on the set of Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Since 2005, the unification of the world's greatest paparazzi magnates has given birth to more gossip column inches than any other couple in history. But while the tabloids busily snap and tap, Brad is getting on with the business of helping rebuild New Orleans in the wake of Hurricane Katrina. One of the first on the scene after the hurricane hit in 2005, he teamed up with Global Green, an organization that sponsors the building of eco-friendly homes in areas that were destroyed.
Thank you all. My family and I are very happy to be back here in this great city. We love it here very much. You know, as you look at the building, I know it looks like any other construction site. But what I want you first to see is hundreds of people standing behind it, the hundreds of people it took to get here. And we started out with this original idea, as Matt talked about, one to help a push in the rebuilding effort, get something going down here and answer some frustrations. But to offer something else. We knew we couldn't bring back the families and friends that were lost, bring back the heirlooms, the pictures. But maybe, in the process of rebuilding, we could build something smarter. We could create a better way of life for the people who live there.
His dedication to restoring housing in the devastated community is further aided by his understanding and love of architecture.
But what I want you to understand about it is that it's a thoughtful building. And for me, I understand the stats and I understand the technology of what we're after, but I feel something much more different, much more personal as I walk through it. And that is, I feel the family that's going to live there. And I understand it from a father's perspective. And he's going to know that his kids are living in a healthier environment. Usually the first thing to get sacrificed are good materials in affordable housing. He's not going to have to worry about that.
Brad and Angelina, along with their 4 children, Maddox, Zahara, Pax, and Shiloh, now spend much of their time based in New Orleans. That is, when they are not off filming, producing, or ploughing their energies into other humanitarian causes, such as the Jimmy Carter home building project in Western India, to which Brad lent his muscle while Angelina was shooting A Mighty Heart. Brad is also heavily involved in raising funds for research into AIDS, and is one of the celebrity brains behind Not on Our Watch, an organization dedicated to preventing mass atrocities, like that which is taking place in Darfur.